Hello. I know that there are people out there because I see that you're there. But if you want to write to me in the notes in the live chat, you are going to be able to write. And I'm going to be able to read what you write and maybe to respond. So we are referring to the presentation that Yedidah Koren did last week from the JIBC talks. What determines communal norms? That was the big question that Yedidah presented to us. And also you have here in the chat an option to download the text that she was using. I think the presentation was in many ways fascinating. There are many meta questions that she is asking. I think she's asking the questions, are we open to the other as Jews? What is the technique that is used for conversion? And in the way we do conversions, what does it say about our way of welcoming the other? What are some resistance that we have to say foreigners are welcome, or there are boundaries, and what is the logic for those boundaries? So there are many meta questions that she's presenting to us. So I'm going to go over for a while over this and over the notes from the lecture, and I'm going to be referring to the text. I'm not going to be reading all the text. I hope you have the text in front of you, but if not, I'm going to be referring to them just in case you were not there or you don't have it with you. So she started in a very interesting way. She said that from the perspective of the Zionist perspective, or the first Jewish perspective, regarding diaspora Judaism, in reference to Zionism, the question that many people ask is, why then don't they just convert? And they use the just as a way of making the point. And basically, what she's trying to say, there is nothing just about conversion. There's nothing just. And conversion has a lot to do with genealogy and with history. And of course, she brings the book of Ruth as the source, and the famous quote, your people shall be my people, your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. So is this complete giving of Ruth to the family of Naomi. So in many ways, she's pointing out, Yedidah is presenting to us that what Ruth is doing is rejecting her past. She is saying, now you are my people, now you are my family, and I'm going with you. And that's exactly what the source number 2 is. She says, you left your father and mother and land and came to a people you had not known before. So there is an adopting by Ruth of this new family, this new land, these new parents. And this is referring to the fact that when somebody converts, we rename them. When somebody is converting to Judaism, becomes the son of Abraham and Sarah. So somebody's ben Avram Besara or bat Avram Besara, it means that he or she converted, which means that your parents are not your parents anymore, which Yedidah said it's kind of problematic. What does it mean that the parents are not your parents? So she also was pointing out that this is a tremendous sacrifice that's being asked from converts to give up their origin, to give up their genealogy. And she's also pointing out that this is a fair thing to ask. Then she moves to the Mishnah. So let's remember the Mishnah, you're talking 2nd century, the first legal codification of the Torah. And so there the Mishnah is really, what is the real place? Let's say we have conversion. So what is the real place of a convert within the tradition? She's pointing out that in the Mishnah itself, there is this not fully acceptance of the convert or suspicion of the convert. So these people are about bringing Bikurim and says the convert brings, but does not recite and cannot say that Adonai our God swore to our fathers to assign to us, meaning God, the fathers of Israel. So the Mishnah is pointing out that the converts cannot say that their fathers, their ancestors, really gave them the obligation to fulfill a specific mitzvah. So in many ways, Yedidah is bringing this text to prove that there is an aspect that is engraved in Rabbinic Judaism when the convert is treated as a second-class citizen. So there is, you are, but you're not fully. Something that, by the way, Rabbinic Judaism is going to challenge later. So this is not the current view, but she's saying that this seed is there. And by the way, I see it all the time. Many times people say, well, he or she converted, but it's not really Jewish. And nevertheless, that maybe this person observes more and knows more than many Jews. So people have like the right to say, because he or she was not born Jewish, that is not really Jewish. So Yedidah is pointing out that this type of discrimination has some, it's old, let's put it that way. It's really in the text. But later she says that converts are fully accepted. And it's interesting how the tradition manages to do that. And then she goes to the source number 4 in the Masachet Bikurim, in the Talmud Yerushalmi, about Rabbi Yehuda. And he says that we treat converts as if they are children of Abraham and Sarah, because they are the parents, according to the tradition, as this is what the text brings. For I make you the father of multitude of nations, from Bereshit, from Genesis. So if Abraham and Sarah are the parents of multitude of nations, it means that the converts were involved, were inside, were in potential. There's a potentiality of every non-Jew to be a Jew. This is kind of what this text of Rabbi Yehuda is bringing, and the Talmud stresses, and the view is according to Rabbi Yehuda, meaning that there is a potentiality of the convert, of the non-Jew, to become fully a Jew. So this is in contrary to the text that we had before in the Mishnah. So we see already that there is a rabbinic machloket, there is a discussion in the tradition about if we accept or we don't accept. Are we saying welcome or we are not saying welcome? Are you a first-class citizens or a second-class citizen? So then it continues. And here she brings a very, very, very short quote from the Babylonian Talmud, Yevamot 22:8. A convert is like a newborn child. A newborn child. So we talk about newborn Christianity. So this is a newborn Jew, and it's a fascinating statement. What does it mean, newborn? And this is why she's bringing this. It means that we reinvent genealogy. You understand what I'm saying? We reinvent genealogy. We are saying you are born again. So we want to call you brother or sister, and for that we say that you're born again. So it's a kind of a magic act by which somebody becomes within the genealogy of the Jewish people. So in that way, I can really bring you in. And then Maimonides, she brings the source number 6. And really the question is if the convert is really part of us or not. And he says that we shouldn't change the liturgy, because when it says Eloheinu v'Eloi Avoteinu v'Imotenu, the God of our fathers and mothers, any reference that is to the ancestry, does a convert has to say it, can say it, should say it? And if not, should they change it? Should we change the liturgy? And Ovadia brings the text from Ovadia, the letter to Ovadia the convert, says, yes, he can say or she can say our fathers. So meaning the genealogy effect is in effect. So you are part of the family, which is interesting because when we do a conversion, let's say we do a conversion here at BJ, there's a very long process that people study. They studied a lot and they come to shul and they begin to fulfill mitzvot, and we have the Beit Din. So we have the Beit Din in one of our offices, and then after the Beit Din, everybody's in agreement, we take the person to the mikvah. So after the person goes to the mikvah, and when the person gets out of the mikvah, and we have the certificate, as soon as the person gets out of the mikvah, if it's a woman, we say, Achoteinu at, you are a sister, or Achinu ata, you are a brother. Do you understand? That's the formula in that moment after the immersion to receive somebody. You are now part of the mishpacha. You are not part of the family. So Maimonides wants to stress with the letter to Ovadia, the convert, that converts are full members. Converts are full members. So not only that you're a full member, but there is a retroactive membership. And we see that in Shavuot, in Midrashim and the liturgy, that converts were already in Mount Sinai. So the potentiality of those who are present at Sinai in that moment, or those who are not present from any other nations, are represented in the potentiality of Mount Sinai in the moment of revelation. So everybody is welcome according to that text. So then she continued. Before continue, it's interesting because Yedidah wants to make a clear point about the legal fiction. She calls the fact that by immersing in the mikvah, somebody is born again. It's a legal fiction. Now we are saying as if you were born again. So by that magic act, I'm putting magic, quote unquote, now you have new parents. So it's a legal fiction for the sake of giving that person genealogy, which means that genealogy and history has a very heavy weight in the issue of the conversion. You have to be part of, not only of us from the present, but you have to be also of us from the past. So we give you that genealogy that you don't have. So then in the text 8, it's interesting. You know, this is a back and forth. It's a back and forth in the discussion in the tradition. If the Gentiles, the non-Jew, they are commanded to obey the law, and there is a whole conversation about it. And one position, they say Rabbi Meir says, encourage non-Jews to engage in Jewish law, and others say stay away. Stay away from the Torah. The Torah is out of reach for you. So you are not part of this group of people, so stay away from the Torah. Another position is you are invited also to engage in the Torah. And that's why she introduces, and the traditions and Yedidah is reminding us the concept of the Noahite laws. So we have the 7 laws of Noah. The 7 laws of Noah that non-Jews are commanded to observe. And she's bringing on the text number 10, says Rabbi Yaakov Bar Hacha found that it was written in a book of Agadah from the house of Rav, a son of Noah, is put to death by one judge and one witness without warning. So this is talking about the issue of death sentence. You know, we are not going to get into exactly what is the discussion, but it's saying that the law also applies to a non-Jew who obeys the Noahide laws, and because it's 7 laws and not 613, it's much simpler. So she then introduces an interesting concept, very interesting concept, and now in the text number 13. So let me read it, just in case if you don't have it in front of you, because this is like jumping. This is now we are in a complete different landscape when this concept is introduced, and has a lot to do with our present time. So this is from the Bavli, from the Talmud, Babylonian Talmud, from Avodah Zarah 64b. It was taught, who is a ger toshav? Anyone who accepted upon themselves in front of 3 that he will not worship idols. These are the words of Rabbi Meir. And the sages say, anyone who accepted upon themselves the 7 commandments that the children of Noah accepted upon themselves. Others say, we have 3 opinions already, these are not considered a ger toshav. Rather, who is a ger toshav? This is a ger who eats and slaughtered meat, literally carcasses, who accepted upon themselves to observe all the commandments that are stated in the Torah, except for the prohibition of unslaughtered meat. So the fact that they are discussing this concept and who is and who is not, it's fascinating. So somebody saying here, somebody who doesn't eat kosher, but observes other mitzvot, some people say, yes, that's a ger toshav. So the literal translation of ger toshav would be resident alien. So is the other one, the stranger that lives amongst us, the one who has a green card but not citizenship yet. So is It is here, it is with us, is sharing part of the burden, the responsibility, is contributing, but not fully yet. So is the stranger that lives amongst us. So what is interesting and fascinating about this is just the existence of the concept. Do you understand? Because that's exactly what's happening today. So we have a lot of ger toshav in our community. Many people who have intermarried. Many people who we sit in our Bnei Mitzvah program. Many parents, non-Jewish parents, who for whatever reason decided not to convert, but for whatever reason they are raising their kids Jewish. And without this non-Jewish father or non-Jewish mother, let's remember, in the case of a non-Jewish mother, if the child is starting to be bar bat mitzvah, we have to take that kid to the mikvah. If it doesn't have a brit milah, it has to have a brit milah. So, but it's done with the permission, I wouldn't say permission, with the blessing of this non-Jewish partner. So this non-Jewish partner is facilitating, honoring, respecting, encouraging, participating in the bar bat mitzvah of this child. Without the blessing of this non-Jewish partner, this kid wouldn't be having his or her bar mitzvah. So that's a perfect definition of a ger toshav for our days. We can discuss about the issue of mitzvot or not mitzvot. Sorry, my notes just fell. So mitzvot or not mitzvot. But we are talking also about belonging to the community and belonging to the Jewish people. So the concept of ger toshav, I believe, is fascinating and very useful. So let's continue. In verse 13, I read it already, this introduction of the concept of the ger toshav. And then in the quote, number 14th from the Babylonian Talmud from Kiddushin 31a, she brings a case from a convert from Ashkelon. So these are very famous cases. So Rabbi Yehuda said in the name of Shmuel, they asked Rabbi Eliezer, until what point is the commandment to respect one's father and mother? He said to them, go and see what a Gentile did in Ashkelon. And his name is Dama ben Natina. The sages wanted to buy jewels for the priestly vest from him for a price of 60,000. And the Rav Kahana says for 80,000. And the key was placed underneath his sleeping father's head, and he does not wake him up. So, this is very obscure metaphors about things, how do you buy things, but let's not go to that. The next year, the Holy One, blessed be He, gave him his reward, that the red heifer was born in his herd. The sages of Israel came to him and said to them, I know that if I ask any money in the world, you would give it to me. But all I ask is the money that I lost because of the respect of my father. Rabbi Hanina said, if the one who is not commanded this, and he received this, one who is commanded, so much so. So it's this way, like the Talmud many ways operates, to prove the acceptance of the ger toshav, to the acceptance in the participation and something so important like the priestly blessings. Then the text goes even further than this, and this is a fascinating text. This is a really fascinating text from Sifra, Acharimot Parashat 8. So this is a discussion on the weekly Parsha. So the text says, Rabbi Irmia would say, from where do we say that even a Gentile who performs the Torah, behold, he is like a high priest? You understand the statement? It's what a bold statement. He's saying a Gentile, a non-Jew, who performs the mitzvah, meaning does mitzvot, perform the Torah, does mitzvot, behold, he's like the high priest. So then he brings a series of quotes to prove this point. And really, I think they're fascinating for us to understand how deep this conversation is in the sacred text. If we think that we invented the JIBC, the Jewish Initiative, and the belonging and the community, and who is in and who is out, and all this, it's very old, really very old. That we have no reincarnations of this, but it's really very old. So let's go over this fascinating quotes. So remember, the question is, from where do we say that a Gentile who performs the Torah, behold, he is like a high priest? Proof text. We learn from Scripture, you shall keep my laws and my rules, that a human shall perform and live due to them, that priests, Levites, and Israel shall perform. Is that not say thus, rather that the human shall perform? You understand? So he's bringing the tension that within the text about humans and Levites and priests. You know, that's humans, so anybody. And similarly, it says, this is from Leviticus, and this is the Torah of the priests, Levites and Israelites. It does not say rather, and this is the Torah of man. And that's a quote from Shmuel. So there's a tension here in the text, in the Bible, between Shmuel Bet, and the Torah. And similarly, it says, open the gates and let the righteous Gentile enter. Open the gates and let the priests, Levites, and Israel enter. That not say that. Rather say, let the righteous goy, use the word goy here, okay? The righteous non-Jew that keeps the faith enter. And this is from Ishayahu, from Isaiah. So let the non-Jew enter. Isaiah 26:2. And similarly, it says, this is the gateway to the Lord priests, Levites, and Israel shall enter through it. Is that not said? Rather, the righteous shall enter through it. This is from Psalm 118:20. And similarly, it says, sing forth, O you righteous, to the Lord, as it fit that the upright claim to God. Sing forth, priests, Levites, and Israel. It does not say thus, but sings forth, you righteous, etc. From Psalms 33:1. So sing you, any righteous person. Doesn't say Levites and priests. So it's not exclusive. And similarly, it says, do good, O Lord, to priests, Levites, and Israel. Does not say thus. Rather, do good, O God, to the good of the upright of heart. From Psalms 125:4. Behold, even a Gentile who performs the Torah, he is like a high priest. So it's a fascinating text, and it shows the tension here between inclusivity and exclusivity. So exclusivity will be to say over every specific of these mitzvot, this is only for us. This is only for the Levites, because this is about the high priest. This is only for the Levites, and is bringing that it's not, that everybody is welcome with their gifts. So Yedidah asked the question during the lecture, what is the difference between a convert and a Gentile, a convert and a non-Jew. And she answers from a different angle, which is also interesting. She says that a Gentile is a volunteer. So a Gentile who lives among us, a ger toshav, is a volunteer. Mitnadev, somebody who says, I'm not really part of you, but I volunteer. I want to be a BJ member. I want to be a member of the Jewish people. I want to go to Israel. I want to, the Drusim in Israel. They're not Jewish, and they're part of the Tzal. They're part of the Tzava. They do their duty in Israel regarding the armed forces. So it's a volunteer, somebody who volunteers with a kavanah, with their intention to be part of the Jewish people. A convert, on the other hand, is a full member, according to the evolution of Jewish thought. It's a full member. So we have the tension here of volunteer, which is something that we see all the time. Somebody who says, Rabbi, I cannot convert for whatever reason in my family, but I volunteer my family. I volunteer my kids to be raised as Jewish, which is, an unbelievable statement. Each time that somebody does that, I imagine the opposite. So it's a tremendous act of love. And for whatever reason, many times I have the situation where people say, Rabbi, I'm not religious. On the contrary, I'm anti-religious. I don't believe in anything. So what I would convert if I don't believe? So I cannot convert, but at the same time, I love the Jewish people. I love the Jewish destiny. I love the Jewish traditions. I love the Jewish food. I love Israel, whatever it is. So let me in. That's a conversation that happens a lot. So Yedidah says, Judaism is not only about Torah, but about genealogy, about belonging, about history. So she says at the end, Jewish peoplehood is important to us. And is there room for non-Jews to participate? So we see two signs. She pointed it in. There's two signs shining in the Jewish people about this. One that says, do not trespass. Private property. This is not for you. Do not trespass. And another that says, visitors are welcomed. And still, when we say visitors are welcome, it presents a question. It's the same, it's not the same. Somebody says, I don't want to convert, and we want to honor and respect that. So what does it mean to be a visitor? Where are the lines? Where are not the lines? Are the lines necessary? Opens up, it's not so easy. I want to say it presents also different type of challenge. But the first point that she wants to make is, where do we stand regarding these two signs? One that says, do not trespass, or the other one who says, visitors are welcome. And if we say visitors are welcome, what do we mean? Is welcome only through conversion? And if somebody does not want to convert or cannot convert or whatever reason it is, where does that welcoming attitude lead us to? She says that the first sign, which is to not trespass, is it holds the vision, conversion or nothing. If you want to observe mitzvot, if you want to belong, if you're part of this, there is a gate. There is a gate. And you're welcome to go through that gate. So it's called conversion. And the second view is an application of some type of adaptation of the Noahide laws. and the view of the Ger Toshav. You're a resident alien, so you're declaring your loyalty to belonging to participation. So you cannot be treated also as somebody who is from the street, who doesn't have any connection. You're declaring your intention to live part of your life as part of the Jewish people. So there are two different worldviews regarding that. So she says that this is a model. All this, at the end, Yedidah said, which is something also that was interesting, that this is a model that is based on the idea of the individual. Meaning there is an individual who comes, there is an individual who is a non-Jew, who is an individual who wants to remain a non-Jew, but wants to be welcomed, wants to be married under the chuppah, or the kids being part of the Hebrew school. But all that refers to an individual, and the onus and the responsibilities on that individual. She's pointing out, what if we get out of the individual view of this issue and we focus on the home? So we take the home as the landscape where this Ger Toshav is living. And we take the home as the paradigm in which we are welcoming this Ger Toshav who wants to build a Jewish home. So to create a new category, somebody who wants to have a Jewish home and declares the willingness to have a Jewish home without converting. So it's a view that removes oneself from the view of the individual and the performing or not performing of mitzvot to through the conversion or the Noahide laws to see the unity, not the unity in the unity of the individual, but the unity of the home. So I think Yedidah did a great journey with us. Did a great journey with us regarding embracing, not embracing. I would like to have some questions. The live chat is, I know that you're listening to me. I see how many of you are listening to me. But if there is something that you would like to go over or reactions, this is a moment to really to interact. And we have 20 minutes. So I would like to you have to go to the chat on the side of the screen, and you have to type your questions, and I'm going to be writing the questions. I don't know if there is any other instruction that I have to give you, but I think that's what I was told, to tell you to go into the live chat, just in case. Hold on with me, stay with me, since we are here like at home. This is for BG members. So let me just make a consultation. Hi, Lisa. You're live online. Lisa, I gave the instructions that people can. Okay, you're texting also. So you're listening. Great, fantastic. So can you type if there is any other instructions to ask questions? So. Okay, and the text. Okay, so you should be able to text. Okay, thank you so much. So Lisa was listening, and it doesn't have to be questions. It could be reactions to this, reactions to if you were in the presentation of Yedidah, or questions. I also want to make an advertisement about insights. remember to go to Insights. This is a live conversation, very not live, but very alive conversation that we're having regarding this subject, and or you could see also the reactions of people. So I'm here waiting for some reactions, getting or some questions, so to be able to respond to you. Don't go. Don't leave me alone. Also, Lisa is saying that BJ members can log in to Insights here, BJ Insights. But that's not for now. That's for after the lecture. So this is for later. So I have some 26 viewers. I'm sure somebody has something to say. A question, a comment, a reaction. Glenn, thank you. This is Judy and not Glenn. Okay, Judy. Although didn't hear Yedidah, I am wondering what the future of our Judaism will look like as we are open and welcoming community. That's a $1 million question, my dear. That's many times I would like to to have the crystal ball and to be able to see the future. You know, if we are welcoming, one thing is for sure, close to 70% of the non-Orthodox Jews intermarry, and we don't perform intermarriages, so they do not come in or whatever, it's not working. Although, by the way, when people, after the intermarriage, they come to us, we are very welcoming. We're really, really very welcoming. And we do whatever we can, but many feel that the fact that we don't perform the intermarriages, it's a rejection sign, and many people feel identified with in that moment between Judaism and the rejection by the rabbi. So it's a very good question. Okay, Ira, just turn in. No question, but notice you forgot to set your clock ahead over your left shoulder. Thank you. That tells you that I don't check that clock. Thank you, Ira. Okay, Ira Wolfman. Do you know, Marcelo, if other modern Jewish communities, 20th century and forward, have dealt with this issue in a definite way? This is yeah. I mean, there are many congregations who are dealing with this. The Reform movement has embraced patrilineality a long time ago, and that was an answer to say any Jew who is born of a Jewish father or mother is Jewish. So that's a definite answer to part of this issue. Patrilineality is not only the answer; it's one answer, and the Reform movement, although doesn't encourage rabbis to do intermarriages, to perform intermarriages, the rabbis have the personal discretion to do it or not to do it. And there is a recent study done by Brandeis that people whose rabbis have engaged with a couple and performing intermarriage or some type of wedding, there's a higher tendency of staying within the Jewish rank. And so there are many synagogues who are dealing with this issue, and there are congregations who have welcoming committees, and there are rabbis who began to perform. The conservative movement is dealing with this issue. They came to BJ to know what is it that we're doing. They are really very grateful that we're taking the time and the depth of doing this studying and thinking and doing it a very responsible way. So there are things happening as we speak. Okay, hi Marcelo, it's Mark. Mark, how are you? Boaz Antalya, of course. Are there any criteria for someone who wants to get to be a ger toshav nowadays. No, that's why it's an interesting concept that is in the Jewish tradition, that Yedidah and others are resuscitating. They're bringing them up. In one of the Hartman lectures, also another Hartman lecture, not this one, and also in a conversation was with Daniel Hartman, with somebody, no, with Moshe Halbertal. Also, he brought this issue, and I remember when Shimon Peres, Alav Shalom, remember when Shimon Peres was here at BJ, and with him, this was many years ago, we were discussing already this issue, and he was saying something very interesting. Rabbi, we're such a teeny tiny group. If somebody wants to be with us, what the heck? Let's welcome them. Let's welcome them, and that's interesting, because that's part of the tension that you see in the law of return. In Israel, the law of return basically says you have 1/4 of the Jewish ancestry, you are Jewish, so you're here, and but the rabbinate doesn't recognize that. So there is already the exclusivity and inclusivity in the law of the state. So I would say many congregations are dealing with this issue, and they're coming up with some creative solutions. The Rabbinical Assembly, as you know, doesn't allow rabbis to perform intermarriages, and so there are rabbis who have decided already to leave the Rabbinical Assembly because of this. But I would say, to the credit of the Rabbinical Assembly, they are dealing with this issue. They're really having serious conversations of what can we do, and also the Jewish people have been so creative regarding so many issues in the past, that the issue of conversion is not a new one, or the issue of acceptance of the other is not a new one, that we have to revise some of the things that were done during the Ottoman Empire, on other historical moments, where maybe this concept of the ger toshav will be one of those criteria. So this would be an answer to that question. Thank you, Mark. Monica Fuchs. Yes, is BJ still linked to the halachic, to the conservative movement, halachic decisions? Yes. BJ, regarding the movement, is unaffiliated. According to the bylaws and according to the spirit, we are a conservative synagogue, and we constantly check in the responsa of the Rabbinical Assembly to illuminate in the decisions that we make. And when we make a decision, a halachic decision for BJ regarding anything, and we check constantly in the response of the Rabbinical Assembly, and I would say we always find our way. We find ourselves in somewhere, from the most liberal position, the most traditional position, and believe it, not always we are in the most liberal position. So we check, and we are bound by the law committee assembly as we are today. So let's see what happens in the future. Anybody else would like to say something? Any reactions, any questions? While somebody's typing again, remember to please be in touch with insights, to have reactions. There's a question from a member. How should we apply or consider the teaching from the lecture as we consider the question of the embracing non-Jews as members of our community? I think for me the most, there are two main issues that Yedidah presented to us. Is first of all, spiritually, what sign are we holding? we holding the sign "Do not trespass," or we are holding the sign "Visitors are welcomed"? That's first. We have to really know that. When if we say visitors are welcome, for me, this revamping of the Ger Toshav category, it's very poignant. It's a very interesting door to open. It would be interesting to think if there is a ceremony for a Ger Toshav. You know, when, for example, a Ger Toshav, now it's welcome to Aliyot. We have parents constantly who come out to the Torah, who is the non-Jewish partner, of this child who is being bar bat mitzvah, thanks to the blessing, the love, the commitment, also of these non-Jewish parents. So the non-Jewish parent come up to the bima, and the Jewish partner says the blessing. If there is a father, or a mother, they don't wear a talit. And it's a way of honoring what Yedidah was saying about the home. So we're honoring the truth. It's a non-Jewish person, so doesn't put a talit, doesn't say the blessing, but is there because that person is deciding to have a Jewish home. So we are doing that already. That's already, I would say, believe, because we didn't think about the Ger Toshav image in those days. We used the Ger Toshav concept. We're also, what Yedidah said, the category of using the home as one element that define that person. So that would be interesting, how really this is unfolding. So if anyone has a question that would like to ask Anonymous, please, this is an email to be sent. Brian, how are you, Meriton? Okay, sorry, Kay Gardner. Kay is one of the speakers of tonight. Guys, you have to come tonight at 7. Yesterday, we had a dress rehearsal of the BJ talks. It's going to be awesome. I have so much love and respect for each one of the 7 presenters of tonight. You cannot miss it. It's going to be really, really special. It's personal, it's serious, it's respectful, has so much integrity. I feel so honored that we can talk about something so complex in such a way in BJ. So please come and invite others who are BJ members to come. So Kay Gardner, sometimes I feel like our community attitudes on topics like intermarriage, welcoming of strangers, etc., are shaped by incomplete understanding of our history. Do you agree? I would like to ask you more, Kay. What do you mean? An understanding of our history, for example, the concept of Ger Toshav. Yeah, maybe. I think part of the discussion about this issue of intermarriage or welcoming the stranger is really, as many things in the Jewish world, are driven by fear. Because we have fear of disappearance. That fear is part of our DNA. We constantly are afraid of disappearing. We're still kicking after 4,000 years, but we always have fear of disappearance. So I think when fear is the driving force of decisions, it's very difficult to have the mindset to open the gates of Jewish history and Jewish wisdom to see that we were very creative in different moments. So fear, I would say, is the emotion that has to be overcome to really talk about this in a very serious way. Brian Davis, if each congregation makes its own decision, and if there is non-consensus within Judaism, what does it portend for the future of the Jewish community broadly? Very great question, Brian. Professor Brian Davis, one of the people, if you have a question about the politics of the Middle East, go to him. So, Brian, very good question. That's the question also that was raised regarding patrilineality. It's the question that we have about patrilineality. So these Jews who are patrilineal Jews then we do the ceremony. Let's say if we do the ceremony, then they are going to be recognized by these Jews and not by those Jews. So it's a problem. I would say it's a problem. At the same time, it's happening. The patrilineality in many ways is really, we're functioning de facto with in so many ways with patrilineality. Not in other ways, but so many ways, yes. So Brian, Italian, I find it amusing. I'm not religious. Disqualifies a non-Jew, but I'm not a Jew. Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. So imagine if I would put all these tests to Jews. How many mitzvot do you observe? We would be performing even less marriages. Remarkable. In Yedidah's time, sorry, was there a possibility of a few generations there might be more Ger Toshavs than official Jews? I wonder what they might thought of today's situation. I cannot answer for Yedidah, his long time death. I don't know. It's a very good question. So what if there is more Ger Toshavs? We know, for example, that during the time of the expulsion of the Jews from Spain, there was a big emigration to the Ottoman Empire, and conversions were really loose. So I'm sure if we really go into the details of how come we survive for so long, I don't know what official Jews are. Let's remember that many of our characters in the Bible, from Abraham to Moshe, were intermarried. So it's what is in, what is out. Maimonides, remember, Maimonides, the great Ramban, was excommunicated, not for being a Jew or non-Jew, but he interacted with non-Jews, with Muslims, and people thought that he was going out of the fold and he was diluting Judaism because he was doing Jewish philosophy. We Jews don't do philosophy. What do we do? We do Talmud. So he wanted to prove with Islam, as the Kalam people were doing, that the Islam was the true faith. So the way to do it was to make it clash with Greek philosophy. So Maimonides did exactly the same, and he created a new field, which is Jewish philosophy. We don't have Jewish philosophy before. We have Talmud. And people were saying, why are you meddling in two things that the non-Jews do? That's what Maimonides did. Maimonides went to Islam and created Jewish philosophy with the Greeks, and then to the Romans with the codes. We didn't have codes. The Romans have codes. We have Talmud. We ask questions, and the answer comes in 36 pages with words like this, so people were not reading the law. So Maimonides says we have to have codes. We have to give the answer. The answer in the Talmud is never important. What is important is the discussion. So by giving the answer, people were not studying. So you understand, this is an example what I'm saying, that how we have incorporated non-Jewish concepts, and they are all normative. Maimonides is normative in Jewish law. So we have to close. Don't miss the BJ Talks tonight at 7 p.m. Open to all BJ members. Please go to Insights. Please go to Insights. Oh, we better person. Sorry, missing. Okay, so guys, go to Insights on the web to really put your questions, your answers, your reactions. This is a wonderful conversation, and come tonight. Tonight is going to be special. Thank you for all the speakers. Thank you for connecting, and thank you for being part of this incredible community. Bye-bye.